up, and this one is about to heat up as Magnus Carlsen and Wesley So are ready to start their Armageddon, and we are underway. Wesley also starts with the King Spawn opening, and it is Cecil for the kill for the second time.
Wow, Magnus playing the Sicilian in a situation where a draw suits him. That makes Wesley So pause and knight to c3. No open Sicilians here. Will he play for the Grand Prix attack? This is a really flexible move here for white. Wow, forcing Magnus Carlsen to think. You know it's Armageddon, right, Magnus? And knight out to c6. Really odd start to this game, Robert.
No increment until move 60. Then they get 1 second bonus time per move. So for Magnus to invest so much time for a second move in a well-known position, it's surprising to me. Magnus, you can't afford to burn 5-6 seconds on these early moves. Maybe you can if you're Magnus Carlsen, but this is shocking.
Wow, and Magnus reverts to a variation, a branch of this kind of closed Sicilian that he's employed on numerous occasions with a lot of success. But very strange to play him, to see him play so calmly here. And a lot of pawn moves here for black. He's just trying to control squares, trying to keep the game as closed as possible. Eventually, black will develop. Black will get the dark squared bishop out, fianchetto it, get castled. It's a very healthy position, but a very slow start to this game.
But I like that for Magnus, actually, because when there are tactics flying and you don't have time to calculate, that's when you have to spend a lot of time just to survive. Here, there's no threats in the position, so it's a calm approach from Magnus and from Wesley. Wesley may want to prolong the game, but for Magnus, that means he gets closer and closer to move 60 with a bunch of easier moves. But knight h2, clearly Wesley wants to strike with f4 and open up the f line.
Wow, really spicy, really ambitious move there. And white again is ahead in development in this game. So opening the lines, getting castled, throwing pawns towards the opponent makes a lot of sense. Magnus, I actually do fear for him if Wesley is in preparation, if Wesley is able to whip up an attack. I'm expecting Wesley to castle first. Here we go, the king gets to safety, and f4 for the score on the board. Almost guaranteed next move.
We'd love to see that happen, but that's such a double-edged move because you open up the F-line, but you're also potentially allowing black to open up that bishop on G7, which can be quite a nasty piece. Also, in return, giving up the E5 square. It has been played. Everything has been done. F-line open, bishop open, knight potentially jumping onto E5. The queen from D1 can line up with a bishop from F4, start targeting the H6 pawn. This is already a game for all three results, and that favors one player in the Armageddon, white.
It does favour white. Black, in the meantime, castles. This is a brave move from Magnus. Maybe it had to be done. But, yeah, Wesley now has the chance to muddy the waters. I mean, it feels like there's something in the air out there in Toronto. It's just such crazy games every single round. And there we see the air quality. And I wonder how the players deal with that. Magnus likes a very warm room. We've seen that throughout the entire Champions Chess Tour. It's looking very humid out there. Maybe due to how hot the games have been.
I was going to say, you might like the room to be warm, but humidity, that's another story. I'm from New York. I know how those summers get. And in this position, it feels like things are about to get quite hot on the board because that black king that just castled, it could be in the line of fire. It just goes out to protect that pawn in front of it now. But the f7 square is a bit vulnerable. There are going to be some attacking chances for Wesley. Doubling rooks in the f-file seems to be a likely possibility for him. And I'm really liking the start. Maybe he'll even push his g-pawn forward, throw it at black's king.
Yeah, Magnus, meanwhile, it. Everything's just working so perfectly. He hasn't put a single foot wrong, Wesley So.
Just outplayed Magnus Carlsen. How do you do that?
He played every move with purpose in this game, throwing in a little pawn push with check when it looks like he's gonna make the obvious capture. I mean, look at Magnus, right? Magnus is just like, I'm playing, I'm trying my best, but after this game, I promise you, Magnus is gonna be like, wow, that was Wesley when he's at his best, and honestly, there's little even I could do about it.
We have to see where it all went wrong once this is all over, because it just felt like a Wesley So show start to finish. How did things turn out so bad for Magnus, and he's still fighting it out, still trying to find a defense here? Can White just keep getting greedy and pick up the last remaining pawn on the queen side?
I think the answer is yes. This feels like a chess boxing match where just straight from the off, Wesley's been punching. Magnus has been just reeling around in shock, trying to block from here and there, but ultimately shouldn't be enough. OK, now 2 connected pass pawns. They're about to march up the board. And, OK, only 1 check there for black. Wesley So still in control. I do have to give Magnus some credit for surviving this long. We've been writing him off for a long time. We've been saying it's a foregone conclusion, but still alive for now.
I mean, Wesley was playing against Maxime in the Armageddon. Maxime was fighting with a knight against the queen. Here, Magnus has got a rook and bishop.
Yeah, and checkmate in 1. Be careful. Black's rook is threatening to go behind the white king to g2. The white king's actually caught in a mating net. The good thing is you can run away with the white king. You can give a few checks first with the queen. But, hey, counterplay for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, this was Wesley perhaps not keeping an eye on his king. And now the king has gone to f5. Rook g2 checkmate is a threat. You can't push the pawn to create a square. You still get checkmated. So he's going to give a few checks. Suddenly, Magnus has a chance.
Oh, I can't believe we're actually saying that right now. After the game that we've just seen, Magnus Carlsen creating a threat. Wesley So slowing down under 3 minutes. He had to go up with the king to avoid mate in 1. He does it. Magnus gives a check. The king moves forward.
Yeah, he's running with the king to safety. That white h-pawn valuable in blocking any potential checks. And I think that was the only key moment, the one trick to avoid. And now Magnus still hitting thin air. The white king is entirely safe. Nothing to be done there while the pawns march inevitably up the board.
Yeah. The thing is, when you're playing Magnus Carlsen, you can have a winning position, but you have to beat him in every move. And Wesley So